They screeched all the time. I couldn't get them to stop screeching, and I couldn't stand them, so I tossed them.
There's an effective plan.
It didn't work.
There you go.
Didn't work. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the NFL reconsiders the tush push. Mookie Betts really wants to be a great shortstop, and the Thunder let one slip away.
Man.
But we begin today with tonight's NBA game between the Lakers and the Mavericks in Los Angeles. This will be the first time Luka Doncic faces the team that traded him away after 6.5 seasons. That was the biggest NBA trade in recent memory. Wilbon, who do you expect to be more motivated tonight, the Mavericks or Luka?
Oh, Luka. I mean, he's playing against his old teammates, and presumably still loves them. He's been apart for a week. Yeah, this isn't the game that has all the emotion that will be ginned up and will be some kind of crusade.
That's the game in Dallas.
That's the game back in Dallas.
I know.
Not the game in L.A., where, as usual, they'll get there and they'll wander around and eat expensive treats until 4 minutes left in the first quarter, and then they'll get into the game. It's in L.A. It doesn't, But the Los Angeles Lakers are involved, and you talk about this every day because I know how obsessed you are with the Lakers and Warriors, but the Lakers more so. It's a scramble. And because it's a scramble, you got to play. I've heard one show already. Does Luka need to make a statement? Luka needs to win the damn game. Luka needs to have the game like he had the previous game when he had 30-something, and he and LeBron looked like this great pairing that we expect them to be. That needs to happen. It needs to happen now. It needs to happen repeatedly between now and the middle of April when they get to the playoffs.
So my answer would change here if Anthony Davis were playing.
Oh, yeah.
If he was returning to L.A., that would be an entirely different dynamic with a game in L.A., but he is not going to play. The only person affiliated with Dallas who has any motivation in this game is their general manager, Nico Harrison, and his motivation is to not be fired after an insane trade. And I cannot imagine any player saying to the other players, let's huddle up, let's win one for Nico. That is not going to happen. So the answer, as you said, is going to be Luka Doncic. He's going to have the greatest moment. In fact, if I was the Lakers, I would worry. I would worry that he would be so sky high that he would injure his calf while trying to jump over the basket. In fact, I would do an over-under on his blood pressure at the tip, and I'd start at 300. And I think his teammates are going to be jacked up, too.
They will be.
For him.
It will be.
And so I think that I should correct that for a second. Not all his teammates, because I guess Connect and Redick are waiting for a train ride to go to the next place they're going to be. But Dallas is chum in the water. They're a prop. If they win this game, I'm done with the Lakers.
But one guy who's got some motivation on that side in the other uniform, in the other jersey, is Max Christie.
Okay.
He can say to the Lakers, really? You could have kept me and got rid of one of these other stumble bums, and you didn't. And now I'm averaging about 18 points a game. I'm playing multiple positions.
Yes.
I can defend, and you couldn't see that when I was in the purple and gold?
You mentioned the game coming up in Dallas. It's April 9th.
Yeah.
That the sound of that game at the beginning, if I'm Nico Harrison, I do not show up. Disaster.
Well,
disaster.
I've seen him at road games. I don't think he's been his usual seat in Dallas. I don't think so.
Now, if they have Anthony Davis, they have a chance to win. They have a chance to win.
Maybe another week.
But it's going to be
10 days.
That's going to be
Davis.
bad sound.
Maybe.
Bad sound.
Let's move to the NFL Network's report that the league will review the tush push next month. The Eagles have used the play to great effect, but one team, Diana Rossini reports that it's the Packers, has proposed banning it. Packers president Mark Murphy has called the play bad for the game, and Bills head coach Sean McDermott calls it a health and safety issue, Tone. You see it the way they do?
Do I see it as a health issue?
Yeah.
To who would it be a health issue? To the mental health of the teams that can't stop the play? Because they can't stop the play.
Jason Kelsey says it's a health
Sean
issue.
McDermott...
He was on the right end.
We'll get to him. Okay. We'll get to him. What Sean McDermott is doing is very cagey. Anytime you say health and safety, the ears perk up on Park Avenue because they want to be on the right side of health and safety. And it also makes him look a little selfless because his team uses this a lot.
A little bit.
Second most
but not,
to the Eagles.
Not the same way.
But I'm sorry. My feeling about this play is different than that. My feeling is the only reason you are coming out against this play is because you're not as good at it as the Eagles are. The only motivation for you is sour grapes and just to discuss with how good the Eagles are with this play. I'm not crazy about the play. Aesthetically, it bothers me. It looks like rugby and not football. I don't know how it can be legal, honestly, Mike, to either push or pull a guy.
It used to not be
over
legal.
the end zone.
There was a rule you couldn't do this.
But this is also football. So don't get on a moral high horse here.
I agree with
you
this.
know, get better coaches, get better players, stop the play, and after you stop the play, then say I want to ban it.
I'm suspect whenever I hear anybody in NFL talk about health and safety.
So,
And I get it, there are some
smart.
issues. Jason Kelce.
What did he say exactly?
I mean, Jason Kelce basically hated running the play.
Did he say he got hurt from it?
He just talked about the risk he felt he was at. Other people have talked about that too.
Oh, well,
Chris Jones with the Chiefs.
I understand.
Had this, somebody massaging his neck in the Super Bowl.
If you have data collected that says this is a dangerous play, the way they had for the kickoff, then I'll say get rid of it. But collect the data for me.
Well, I don't know. It could be, you could just be looking at stories that each player brings into a meeting with the competition committee to say, hey, wait a minute. Here's my anecdotal evidence. I don't have data yet. It's new.
But if you get a lot of people saying, I'm on the offensive line or the defensive line, I'm getting crushed.
I'm conflicted because I don't want to see strength plays outlawed because it reminds me of the football I grew up with.
Right.
And you know what?
They're pushing the other guys back.
They are, and so get some guys that can't be pushed. Do that. So I tend to be with you on this. On the other hand, and I don't know why tush push is more popular than brotherly shove in Philadelphia.
Well,
brotherly shove is so cool.
Yes, but that's germane only to Philadelphia. Tush push can be used anywhere.
Nobody else has perfected it. Only the Eagles have perfected it.
Which is why I think everybody else is against it.
They are.
Because the
Eagles
perfected it.
Because you also, by the way, when you got a quarterback who can bench like 400 pounds and a running back who can squat 600, it's not just the linemen.
That's right.
You got to stop those two, and you can't.
Let's get off football. Let's move to baseball and Mookie Betts, who I know you love.
Mookie.
Betts once returned to shortstop, the position he came into professional baseball playing. The Red Sox moved him to second in the minors and then to right field in the majors. The Dodgers left him in right field until necessity forced him to short last season. Betts made 9 errors in 65 games there, not great. But he worked all offseason at short. He wants to play short. Betts told Bob Nightingale of USA Today, quote, "This is not like a vengeance tour. It's about proving a lot of people wrong, but more than anything, it's about proving myself right," unquote. Wilbon, is Mookie right to return to shortstop, or are the Dodgers better off with him at a less demanding position?
I don't know that he's right. You only prove yourself right if he goes through this season and he's better than average. I'm not even saying Gold Glove.
Right.
But the reason, Tony, this becomes more important to me, the Dodgers went on Mookie's crusade. They went on his word. They didn't go out and acquire, and God knows they could buy any shortstop. Yeah. They could probably go out and buy the ghost of Cal Ripken right now and pay $1 billion for him. If they could put the 1981 Cal Ripken out there, they would. They could afford it. But they didn't do anything. So Mookie has that position, and now you need to leave him out there. He's worked at it. I believe in him. I mean, part of this is you're betting, pun intended, on Mookie Betts being a better shortstop because he's worked at it.
Yes, no, I agree with that. What we have here is a reverse Mike Trout situation. Mookie Betts is saying, put me at the more stressful position rather than going into an
second most important defensive position when you say catcher, shortstop.
Center field, shortstop, to me.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it feels a little like a vanity project to me, and the Dodgers would never have been in this position if they had kept Corey Seager. But this is not, and I'm going to underline what you said, this is not a situation like when the Red Sox go out and they get a Gold Glove third baseman in Alex Bregman, and then their third baseman, Rafael Devers, who's not very good, says, I'm not leaving third. Mookie Betts has said,
not taking somebody's spot.
Doesn't work out, I'll go play someplace else. I would just like to try to play this position. And much like you, I would bet on Mookie Betts. Yeah. He's that great a player. Good. I would bet on him.
He's that good, and he spent countless hours in Mookie Betts doesn't need to do that, right? People talk about legacies. Okay, even though Mookie Betts is still in his prime, his is set.
Yeah.
But for him to want to do this badly enough to work at it in the offseason, in the winter, be out taking ground balls and working with other previously great fielding shortstops, yeah, my money's on Mookie Betts.
So I'm going to go another way. The Dodgers are the world champions. The Dodgers are a great team. They can indeed absorb a couple of errors at shortstop for a while to see if this thing works out. You know, as a result,
make a deal.
As a result of this, by the way. They had enough money, and they got a lot of money, I know, but they were able to sign Michael Conforto. They were able to re-sign Teoscar Hernandez. And Mookie looks like he's made it look like it's the best thing for the team. I don't know that Rafael Devers in Boston has made it look like it. Anthony Edwards off the weak side goes 3 feet over the rim, and he blocks the shot. It's the best defensive play I have seen this year. It is LeBron chasing down Iguodala in my mind. I don't believe, Mike, that there's any bad carryover for Oklahoma City from this one game, except they did give up 16 in a row at the end of regulation. I don't believe that Minnesota becomes a great team because they won this, because as you know, I hate the trade of Karl Anthony Towns. But what stands out to me and what's worth talking about is that block.
Anthony Edwards had one of these last year, where the block was better than the dunk everybody talked about, and they won the game and he crashed to the floor. This is what he's capable of. And that is why Minnesota is a threat. It's more about Minnesota. And by the way, OKC, who you know from the day of the season started.
You pick them all the time.
I said OKC, Boston, and I would take OKC.
That's right.
Because I just think the league's too good to win 2 straight Boston. I'm wrong. Because OKC, I'm not jumping off the bandwagon. But they don't have that thing yet. They're going to get their hearts crushed in this
thing
playoffs.
You do, as they say, they don't have it?
It takes several run-ups, and Oklahoma City's only had one. And they blow these big leads. They did this the previous night in Minneapolis to the same team. But let me just say this, Tony. Minnesota has everything. We saw them in the conference finals. No, they do. They do have everything. I know they don't have Karl Anthony Towns anymore, but they got Julius Randle coming back. They got the big Frenchman coming back into the lineup. They got DiVincenzo coming back. Those guys are all coming back. Those are 3 important players. And they've got a star who's a checkmate.
They haven't looked great
to the
this
MVP, SGA, and Anthony Edwards.
They haven't looked great this season.
No, they keep stumbling. They do.
It's next.
Toss up more compelling story. The Pistons winning 7 in a row, or the Sixers losing 8 in a row.
This one is easy for me. This is a very nice thing that Detroit has done. They are much, much better this year with a new coach, J.B. Bickerstaff. They get all the applause that you can give them. But Philadelphia is a team with a reigning, if not reigning, 1 year removed MVP. Philadelphia is a team that people talk about as a challenger for the NBA championship. And Philadelphia stinks at the moment. They're the most disappointing team in the league. And by the way, for numbers people out there, they still owe Joel Embiid and playoff P, get this number, $405 million. They were down, so trust the process. Please shut up with the process. They were down 50 last night. 50 to the Chicago Bulls, who stinks. They were down 50, 136 to 86.
11th place at stake, and they couldn't even at home.
The more compelling story is the 76ers because of the ridiculous hype that's going on there, because of the stupid money that they have spent, and because their management's awful. Disagree. You can't.
I'm going to disagree in this way. The Detroit Pistons, when Dwayne Casey and then Monty Williams with 1 year were coaching there, Dwayne Casey, before that, the previous 4, won 20, 20, 23, 17, and 14 games. They've now won, 32 last night?
They're a lovely story.
So Cade Cunningham is a stud.
Okay.
Asur Thompson is a great second, I'm going to say this, you know what I mean by this, a Scottie Pippen-ish figure. You got to have that player, that Robin figure.
But nobody is asking
Harris,
Detroit to win the NBA championship.
But you have to start to do something.
Okay.
They're not waiting.
No.
They fired my man Monty Williams last year.
And I think
he laid the foundation for some of this stuff.
They made a good choice.
J.B. Bickerstaff is coach of the year right now.
100%.
Come on now.
100%.
They're doing what Philadelphia can't do, but you're crushing Philly.
Cleveland, because Philadelphia comes in with much greater expectations. Detroit comes in with no expectations.
No expectations.
You know the guy at Cleveland? And they maybe shouldn't have fired J.B. Bickerstaff, but the guy at Cleveland's going to get votes.
Yeah, he's